everybody, welcome back to Supernatural. My name is Francesca Garcia, and I'm your main host for this show. And we're gonna revisit St. Augustine, where it all started for me in the paranormal. So we're gonna revisit the old jail. So that's also in season 1. We also are going to revisit the St. Augustine Lighthouse. That's also in season 1 in one of the episodes. So make sure to check those out if you haven't. So we're going to revisit those 2 locations. And also we're going to investigate a new location in St. Augustine. And that is the fort of San Marcos, or the Castillo de San Marcos. It's an infamous fort there, and it's known for its paranormal activity, even though they don't admit that there's paranormal activity over there, but that's okay. We're here to show them that there is. So anyways, we're going to investigate that new location. Joining us for the interviewee will be our team leader, Eric Vanderlaan of War Party Paranormal. And also we have Mike Delcoro returning back as the interviewer. So stay tuned. This episode's going to be a juicy one. Before we move on, I just want to give a big shout out to my girl, Aaliyah, rest in peace, princess of R&B. Here we go. I'm rocking her shirt. I don't know if y'all can see this. Anyway, so awkward, but anyhow, love the girl. Gotta rock her out. Rest in peace. But anyhow, let's go back to St. Augustine. So the more we dive in, I don't want to get too much into the history. I just want to discuss, pretty much what we captured on our trip. So we'll visit those 2 locations I've already investigated from season 1, and then we'll jump into the fort, which is the new location, and it's kind of hard to investigate, so we had to do one of those day tours. But anyways, we did capture some really good evidence, so we'll jump to that. So anyways, we did I revisit the old jail. Eric's never investigated the jail before. We went for like our birthday trips. Like I think it was like when was that, like 2 or 3 years back or something like that. It was a while back, and we kind of went for our birthdays, and just kind of discovered the town was hot as balls. Oh my god, it was really, really freaking hot out there in the summer. Definitely, if you're trying to go to St. Augustine, go during the wintertime, go during fall. Actually, our falls are kind of hot now, but it's really freaking, it's pretty bad. Anyhow, we went during the day. Our main attraction was really the lighthouse that we investigated at night out of the 3 locations, but we definitely went during the day. Eric's friend named Heather, and she's known as Old City Ghost on Instagram. She kind of like runs like the tours there at St. Augustine. So she was running like the old jail with a couple other members, and she's like, giving us a scoop, and I was telling her, hey, this is like my first place that kind of did it for me in the paranormal. So I was giving her that scoop, and then it was cool because the person, or like the manager there, she knew, and then they gave us like like some private time during like the day tours. So we paid for like just one of those day tours. And gave us some alone time, so I kind of felt like a little VIP there. Like I was like, hey, I got some alone time here. Well, like some of the guests were checking us out, but there's some period of times like they moved throughout the tour, so we had like maybe 30 minutes of some alone time, like in the cells, and we captured some really good EVPs and evidence. So I want you guys to see that. Even during the day, you can go to these things, and if you have a good recorder and just you have the time, and just kind of go when like the rush of the crowd is somewhere else. Like I've done that in Alcatraz. You can see that in season 1 as well. So you can do these things during the day. So not necessarily everything has to be at night. But anywho, let's go ahead and show the evidence that was captured at the old jail during our trip. Here we go.
Do you like Sheriff Harry? Did anybody die here?
I gotta fuck that.
Go. I don't know. Say that again?
We're going to come back and investigate. Whistle, we're trying to capture our attention knowing that we're going to... Okay, I think I just heard you right now. Whistle, we're trying to capture our attention knowing that we're going to leave. Was that you? Do you have
I don't know.
for us? We're going to come back and investigate this place. I'll be back. You'll see me again. If you want us to come back.
You got clear as day. I don't know.
That was good. Crazy. So that was really good EVPs. And again, like the energy there never disappoints. Even during the day, they have like a crawler, like the deputy, the sheriff. God, I forgot his name. Anyways, there's just so many places. But how do I forget the sheriff's name? I'm like gonna have a brain fart. Remember this in an hour. But anyhow, there's just so many characters there, and like also the inmates. So like I have a thing for jails and prisons. I think it's just because that's how it first started for me. That's like, other than like my personal experience growing up and things like that. But I'm saying for like what like kind of made me like, let me book a paranormal investigation with the whole 9 yard and the gadgets, and like what did it for me was definitely the old jail. So it's like it's like a soft spot in my heart. Like it's like that place that's like your first place. I hate to whatever, like your first time, or that sounds bad. Anyways, you get what I'm saying. It's just like a soft spot in my heart that I love the old jail. It just brings so much memories, and that's why I think I have a thing for jails. Love them. Anyways, moving on to the next location. We also, the infamous lighthouse, the St. Augustine Lighthouse. We went back again, revisited the tour, Night of the Moon tour. I said it with Tamara and with my friends growing up in high school and stuff like that in college. I went, with Eric, and we pretty much did like that Night of the Moon tour. So they still had it. And what was cool about this tour in investigation, because like a tour and investigation, they let you kind of roam off and do your thing. This one was a little bit more private. It felt like there wasn't a whole lot of people, probably because it was summertime. But anyways, there wasn't a whole lot of people, and we kind of had like free range to ourselves. So it kind of felt like, like our little VIP in a way. And most people kind of like, we played it smart because like actually the keeper's house, and we've both been there. Like Eric hasn't been to the jail before, but like the lighthouse, he has been with a different group, not with me. But we both say that the first time actually I went there, I was kind of happy. Sorry, I don't want to play around here, but I was kind of happy that I actually captured evidence, because I was kind of like disappointed the first time I went. I felt like I didn't capture much, but I did felt like the lightkeeper's house, like the little house, not the actual lighthouse, but the keeper's house on the grounds. Like I felt like that was more active, or there was like a vibe or an energy there. So wise, like we were very wise enough to like pretty much, I can't even freaking talk today, sorry, but anyways, like that, like while the majority of the group went to the lighthouse, we decided to be at the groundkeeper's house. So we started off there first, and we captured some really, really good evidence. So go ahead and check that out, and let me see what you guys think.
When you get close to it, if you walk in front of it, it'll play. Can you make it play for us? What about this one? Can you get close to this one?
That is honestly Eric right now.
Can you get close to this one? Make noise. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that you, Eric?
No.
Thank you. That was freaking cool. Anyways, it's always an adventure at St. Augustine. Another interesting clip I wanted to show you from the lighthouse. I had like this brilliant idea. Like I first got my coffin box, and that's like one of my little favorite tools I use, other than DR60. I love my recorder and my dowsing rods. I don't know, I'm kind of in between the dowsing rods and the music box, but when I first got the music box, and I was like during that time, along with the DR60, I was like, I whipped my recorder, and I was using the Sony, don't get me wrong. Anyways, I can go into a whole nother conversation of devices and the backstories of what we use, the different recorders and all that fun stuff. But anyways, I'm not going to get into that rabbit hole. But yeah, it's when I first got my recorder, like, not my first recorder, but my baby Jasper, and I call him Jasper, my DR. Anyways, and I got the coffin box, and I was very excited for that, and I'm like, oh my god, I love this thing, right? Because it just makes this creepy little tune, and then I love little coffin shaped things. So yeah, I just loved it. It's just like that little creepy. It's really actually eerie when you kind of hear it in a pitch black room. But anywho, I was testing it out, and I had an idea, because I noticed that like a lot of the children from Casadega too in that episode, a lot of the children seem to like the coffin box, and I don't know if it's like the music that's triggered. It's like associated from that music, like back in the like early 1900s. That's like a trigger kind of like object for them, and maybe it's like it reminds me of like the little ballerina box. I remember growing up, I had one too, and it's like those ballerina boxes that you open up, and it's like the jewelry set, and she starts kind of like twirling around. So I don't know if it's just that familiarity of like that sound or that music kind of tune. that attracts, children to play or interact. I feel like children's spirits with the music box seems like out of all the equipment that I use out of my investigations. So I noticed that at Casadega with the spirit named Marjorie, that she loved the coffin box. I'm like, let me try something, because last time I was here, I didn't get much interaction. I waited till like the rest of the group decided to go to the gatekeeper's house. Of course, they checked out the lighthouse first. They went up the steps, the 219 steps, I believe. So we decided to save the lighthouse for last, and you'll see that because we pretty much got a little bit kicked out when we were trying to investigate there, because we're like trying to take our sweet time. But I had an idea. I'm like, let's, go there and see if the two little girls, the spirits that passed away there, will interact with the spirit box. So I want to show you that clip real quick, because I believe we did capture them, and they loved my music box and they interact with us. So here we go, and let me show you that clip. I just want to try something real quick. I want to do this for the little girls. All right, girls, I'm down here, and I brought this device for you. It's a music box. You'll hear the sound, and all you have to do is walk in front of it for it to go off. Good. Look. Do you like that?
I feel like I'm too close to it. We're still in here.
Okay. Oh, sorry. No, we'll wrap it up. Oh. See, I'm not even near it.
The music box is going off for no reason.
Do you like it?
Motion activated.
I told the girls I brought them a gift, and they're playing it right now.
That's weird.
They seem to like it. Thank you. Can you make it stop for a little bit? No. All right, we gotta go. But I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna shut it off. Thank you. Oh, look, it stopped. Thank you. But I gotta go. So, yeah, that's that. And that was pretty much our lighthouse captures. Okay, so the next clip I wanted to show, and actually that's new for me and St. Augustine. I've been there, but I never really got to like investigate it with like, the devices I had back then in season 1. I was kind of more like in my amateur state, so I was like just getting the tools, like just learning how to be an investigator while I was still studying psychology. So I was still kind of like believing in orbs and stuff like that. But anyway, as you can see, thinking that was like legit evidence, and like actually it was like what the tours were teaching you. So it was just so misleading. But I guess that's what people buy into, the Hollywood aspect of things, and and the screams and the thrills. But I'm not for, the more I got into this field, the more you educate yourself. So again, you have to start off somewhere, and not discrediting the people that do, but hopefully they kind of, educate themselves a little bit more. I'm not saying that all, anyways, I'm not going to get into the orb discussion, but let's move on. So the 4, it was kind of cool because it was just kind of, like I had my devices. I was a little bit more trained in advance as a paranormal investigator, as you could see throughout my seasons, So to give you a little bit of the history of the 4, because I mean, obviously the other seasons I discussed a little bit of the history of these places, but I'm not going to go into depth. But the, St. Augustine itself, it was discovered like in the 1500s. I think it was like 1565. And I think it was like they landed in Matanzas Bay, and that's like kind of like this little island. Like there's another fort, the Fort Matanzas, and like that's like there's just so much history and death that occurred. Just trying to find the new land, the new world, or whatever back then. And you had the Spaniards that were more dominant in St. Augustine, like claiming the territory, and then you had the French that came, the Protestants or whatever, and then you had the Catholic Church, and that's where religion came into play. And there's even like, just to kind of give you the backstory, the Huguenot cemetery, and that's like where they like buried the Protestants pretty much, and like they wouldn't convert to Catholicism or to be a Catholic. I can't freaking talk right now. But anyways, they couldn't convert to be the main religion, which is Catholic, related themselves and the freaking, at that cemetery away from like the main grounds of St. Augustine. So just a lot of like death, history, slavery, just like a lot of tragedy, a lot of like dark history. Obviously, these places like Savannah, St. Augustine, there is just nothing like the feel of St. Augustine, though. Like, I will have to say that. Like, I mean, it's very similar to Savannah, maybe Charleston, but I feel like Savannah, I mean, I've never been to Charleston, but I have to go. But from what I hear, they're very close. But I just feel like St. Augustine has just such another vibe to it. And I think it's just because, yeah, it just has, you could feel it. It's just that is the oldest city of the United States. So that's what makes it very unique. And I'm proud to say, like, that's like the first place that did it for me. You know, it's like the oldest city of the United States. Like, how cool. But, anyways, the fort is a big monument. It's like the first thing you see when you approach the historical side of St. Augustine. And it's like right in your face. It's like the main guard gatehouse of the city. And a lot of death and things occurred in the wall, like even with the Native Americans, the main chief. And you can see like, what's his name? Oh, seriously, I just cannot talk. Anyways, Chief Osceola, they said that like they decapitated his head, and like you see his like floating head around the fort ground. Just a lot of like the soldiers, just you know, a lot of death occurred in those grounds, and also in St. Augustine itself. That's why it's so haunted. But the fort, it's like in construction in 1672, and it lasted for like 23 years, I believe, until 1965. And just behind those walls, you can just like breathe the energy. It's just so much has occurred. I'm not going to go into depth, but anyways, I'm sure a lot of other investigators. Now, one thing I will have to say, I don't know if Ghost Adventures ruined it for us all. I don't know, but I know that the people that work at the fort do not believe in the paranormal. They don't want to promote the paranormal there. They're very against it. Like, I've asked them a question about it, and they were like, "Oh, it's so stupid. It's all those stupid ghost shows like that Ghost Adventure." So they really do not like Ghost Adventures. It's not for me to talk shit about them. So I don't know what happened, but apparently they're just going off that like Zach Bagans and all of them were faking their stuff while they're filming there. I'm not saying that is true. I don't know. I'm not trying to bash the guys because in a formal way, I do have respect for them and I grew up watching them and that's what kind of made me be where I'm at. But maybe they just don't want to promote the paranormal. I don't know. I don't want to say, but that's according to them, that they were getting so defensive about me as a paranormal investigator going in there and trying to ask me if the place was freaking haunted. And I didn't even ask about Zach Bagans. But they're very against it. So for any paranormal investigator that tries to ask, these people do not, because they're just going to make you look like the smaller person. And I don't know. I don't know what happened. But anywho, for me to say, like, whether if it was Zach Bagans or whoever, I can just tell you right now the freaking place is haunted because there's just no way. There was so much death that occurred there. It being like you could just like breathe the death in those walls. Like, at least I can. Like, I'm really like weird like that. Like, I could just like sense things and not so much visuals, but just more sensation. And I just feel like there's like, there's like that musk smell. Like, it's just like, you know, in an old place, but this is like worse. It's like more soily, ground, earthy smell. But I just feel like I could like smell blood with sometimes. Like, it just, anyways. So yeah, the place definitely has to be haunted. And now that, you know, we had our recorders and everything, I was just like down to go and figure this place out. So we just kind of like roamed around, look at the touristic things again during the day. And Eric actually brought up a really good point that while everybody was like seeing the cannonball show, they have this really cool cannonball exhibit that they kind of like, you know, whatever, spit out those cannonballs from whatever. And it's actually a really cool thing to watch if you're in St. Augustine. But during that time, actually, tip to any paranormal investigators, while they're doing that demonstration, go downstairs. And I know, like, when I was a kid, when I used to visit, you know, my first time visiting the fort, I remember it just stuck with me, was this room. It was like, you know, and I think that's when I knew, like, I was a little sensitive as a kid. There's like this dungeon dark room that you have to like crawl into, and it's like pitch black. If there's not that light that's there, like, it is extremely creepy and pitch black. And I believe a lot of Native Americans were like pushed there, soldiers, like bodies, like death. There was like this infamous, like, I think soldier that had an affair with, I forgot what the love triangle story was, but he was kept there in chains with the lover until their death. So their skeletons were found there and a bunch of other skeletons as well. It was just like a bunch of, you know, a really dark place to be at, and where they shove people, and like, it's just not the place at the time where you wanted to be. It's like literally the freaking dungeon of hell. And our idea was to go in that room and do EVP sessions while everybody was doing their the cannonball exhibit. And actually, you'll get to hear the cannonball in the background of the video. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and show you that clip and our EVPs that were captured, because these EVPs were very significant. And for the workers at the fort, please do not come after me. I'm just showing what I captured. So yeah, In my opinion, it's haunted. So anyways, let's roll that. Again, there was nobody in the room. People were upstairs, and mind you, in this like freaking fort that you can't hear other than the damn cannonballs shooting up. And then maybe at the end, you'll see somebody that's like, I guess the exhibit thing was over, so they'll start coming down, but it takes some time. But anyways, let me show you the clip and let me see your thoughts.
Wait, sick it out.
I did get out. Get out.
See what you got. Anyway. I did. I said, did you die here? And I said, are you a soldier? And here I did.
Did you die here? Are you a soldier?
Right there. I did. Okay, really freaking cool. So yeah, that was pretty much it with the fort, with the lighthouse and the old jail. So we did a little mini trip. It's 5 hours from where we're at. And honestly, like I highly recommend St. Augustine. It's always such a moment and soft spot in my heart because that's where it all started for me as a paranormal investigator. So that's why it's so meaningful, significant for me. So yeah, I will always go back to St. Augustine. I will always probably do another episode in St. Augustine. I still have so many other places to investigate in St. Augustine because it's so freaking haunted and big that you could just do so much. The only thing is it's a little bit expensive because obviously they know how to market their tourism. So I love to network with people there and collab. So that's the only thing, but it's just so well worth it. Definitely support these people, support the local shops, the restaurants, like the culture itself, learn the history, dive in about like, you know, the Spaniards, the French, the English, like all these people that try to dominate this like city. And you know, it was again our first well-known oldest city of America. So the oldest city of America. So that is St. Augustine. That wraps up that. There's so much goodies coming along the way, so stay tuned for, you know, upcoming Supernatural. I'm not going to get into what the next episode is, but that is coming out, so stay tuned for that. We got a lot of special guests in this season. I'm really excited for you guys to see, so stay tuned because this next one is going to be a good one. So stay tuned. Mike Delcoro will be back too as the interviewer, so stay tuned for that. And also stay tuned for the Haunted Files. We just released an episode. The guys are doing such a great job. They're killing it. I'm just so honored to be time to time to be part of the episodes and everything else. So thank you guys for having me on your show. The Haunted Files is just so successful, and go ahead and check it out at Paraflix. Subscribe to Paraflix if you haven't already, and check out our latest episode. We did the library, and that one is actually brilliantly good. Just the Delco session, I'm not going to dive in, but it's just amazing. So definitely check it out. We did one at the Rock Island Roadhouse too, which I am not, let me tell you, I faced my worst fears, which they're clowns. I freaking hate clowns, as y'all know me bitch about it on this whole season of Supernatural. Oh shit, my mic. I'm terrified. So I don't like clowns. I'll never do it again. I will not do the clown motel. Like that was like my baby step to see if I can conquer my fears. And even though I did it, I don't think I'll do it again. I just fuck that. I hate clowns. Sorry, my language. Anyways, love you guys. Yeah, just make sure to check us out. Haunted Files, next episode of Supernatural Eye, and also any War Party Paranormal events. Make sure to support us and the team in our upcoming events. You can check out the War Party Paranormal website at www.warpartyparanormal.com and see our upcoming events and any newsletters and notifications. So go ahead and check us out on the website. And yes, I'm going to go ahead and transition this over to the post-interview segment with Mike Delcoro interviewing Eric Vanderlaan. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Love you. Thank you again for all your support. Mwah. Happy spring. We're in spring. And also, I wanted to give prayers to Aaron Goodwin. You know, again, I'm not trying to bash Ghost Adventures from earlier, but please have Aaron Goodwin in your thoughts and prayers, because this poor guy is going through it right now with his ex-wife, and that was just a horrible situation. Horrible. I mean, that's really awful. Anyways, having your thoughts and prayers regardless of your views of Ghost Adventures. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody, and that's just a horrible way to know that somebody that you trust and love would do you like that. So in the most wrongful way. So that's just I can imagine. So anyways, having your thoughts and prayers. We love you, Aaron Goodwin. Love you guys. Have a good weekend. And here we go to the post interview segment. Bye, guys.
Let's do this.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? My name is Mike Delcoro, and we're here with the Supernatural Eye Show. This is the post-interview segment, and I'm joined by this random guy I've never met before. No, just kidding. We got Eric Vanderlaan, partner of mine and co-founder of the Haunted Files and team leader with War Party Paranormal. And we're going to talk a little bit about their trip that he did with Franny to St. Augustine. Welcome, Eric. How are we doing tonight?
Thank you for that amazing introduction.
Yeah, man. No worries.
Feel honored.
So, it was a while back. I don't know when it was, but you guys went to, I actually remember you guys talking a little bit about it, but it was a while ago. You guys went to St. Augustine. And, what did you feel like getting back to St. Augustine? I know you've been there before and getting back there with Franny. And what did you feel about getting back there?
Well, as you know, St. Augustine never gets old.
That's
so
right.
I was really excited. This was the first time, actually, this is the first time Franny and I got to go away together and do some investigating, and like a little mini investigation. And we were lucky enough to get a spot at the St. Augustine Lighthouse. So I did like a public event there, but this was more like a private event. It's called Bark at the Moon. And they had other people there, but it was so small. It was just me, Franny, and 3 other people. So we had the whole place to ourselves. So it was freaking awesome.
That's killer. And then, as far as catching evidence from this trip compared to the last time you were there, would you say that this time was more active than the following time, or was it the same, or what do you feel like? How did that go?
Well, the last time I went was when COVID hit us hard and everything was shut down. So I had the opportunity to investigate the whole town of St. Augustine, and nobody was there. It was like,
Oh, wow. That's like a once in a lifetime.
Yeah. So it don't get better than that. But we got a lot of evidence in the at the St. Augustine Lighthouse, which is pretty cool. We spent a lot of time in the keeper's house in the basement. Supposedly, as people don't know, there are spirits there of girls who had passed away. When they were building the St. Augustine Lighthouse, they had a ramp that went from the dock where the ship came in for the supplies, and the ramp went straight up to the lighthouse with a cart, like on rails. So they would, push up all the materials up there to build it. And the lighthouse keeper's daughters used to play on it. They used to ride down it. So one day they rode down it, and the brake wasn't on at the end, and unfortunately they went into the water and ended up drowning. So their spirits still remain there, and they say in the basement that they like to mess around with people, like, for example, like tie people's shoes. But it was pretty wild. We were seeing shadow figures in the basement, and no one was in the house. And when we were in the bottom at the basement, there were a lot of times where we could hear footsteps, and we would go up there and nobody was there. So it was pretty cool.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yep. And then the coolest thing is in the basement, there's 2 rooms, and adjoining the rooms is this hallway. And in the hallway, we set up the coffin and a REM pod, And when we were seeing shadow figures, the coffin box and the REM pod would go off in that hallway. So it was
That's a
pretty
motion
wild.
sensor. Yeah, the coffin box motion sensor.
Yep,
So that
it
was
was
the motion sensor and the REM pod were going off
together.
as
Yep.
you were hearing this stuff. That's incredible. Yeah, it doesn't get better than that. I mean, as far as investigating, getting catching that kind of evidence. You guys also visited St. Augustine jail, right?
Yep. We went to the jail and we went to the fort, Castillo de San Marcos. Now, when we went to the jail, it was different. It was like a day event. And I ran into a fan of mine. Yep, I got fans. And she was working there and she was saying, hey, you guys can hang out here and you can do your thing in between groups. And like even during the day, we were getting EVPs. It was like pretty wild. And
So
then go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, and then I was going to talk about the Castillo.
Yeah, well, just real quick, because you mentioned was that Heather Quinn
Yes.
from
Yep.
Ghost City Tours?
Yep.
And you met her online just from being in the paranormal?
No, she was working the event. I just saw her there and we started
Oh, okay.
talking. And she was like, hey, you guys can like hang out here as long as you want. And then in between groups, you'll probably be able to get some stuff. So that's what we did. It wasn't like a formal investigation. We were just messing around. But not even being there that long, it was pretty wild that we were getting EVPs. So I thought that was pretty amazing.
Heck
I
yeah,
can't
man.
recall exactly what it was, but it was like clear as day. Oh, and I remember one thing is if people don't know, like when you go into the jail, in the middle is like two levels upstairs, and in the middle is almost like a cage, and above it, is like another metal part. And we could hear someone walking up there, like on the metal during the day, and nobody was there. We're like looking up, you can see it, and like you hear footsteps, and no one's there. It was pretty
I
cool.
mean, that jail is one of my favorite locations. I've captured some when I was starting out investigating, I've captured some really amazing evidence, and just like it just stuck with me. Like that jail
We going
is
back,
awesome.
Mikey?
Yeah, we got to get back there for sure. Um, and then you guys even stayed at like a haunted place, right? The Casablanca Inn.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yep.
Did you capture anything there when you were there?
It was kind of hard because like we were out doing other things at night and there's people around during the day. We tried to do a little EVP session like in the I don't know, like the lobby, and we were getting something but I just can't remember. We were getting something, but nothing significant because we didn't really have a chance to do a real investigation there.
So I know St. Augustine is like, one of the oldest settlements and cities in the United States. And I know kind of how I feel about it, but like I want to know how you feel about like the difference between like Gettysburg, Savannah, and St. Augustine. Like, what's the difference between the vibe that you're feeling at a city like this?
Well, the vibe in St. Augustine, it's totally different. It's because the Spanish, they're the ones that was their territory. They're the one who established St. Augustine, and a lot of those Spanish cultures you see all over the town, from the architecture. I mean, they got they got a fort there, the Castillo de San Marcos. That's totally Spanish. So yeah, and then you see remnants because like the Spanish, what their goal was is to convert people to Catholicism. And the French were exploring there at the time, and they were not Catholic, and they would try to convert them or they would kill them. So there's Matanzas Beach where they slaughtered a bunch of French soldiers, and then they have, and then they in the town outside of the town they have a cemetery because since the French weren't Catholic, I guess they were called the Huguenots. They had a Huguenot cemetery outside of the town, like almost like disrespecting them, like you're not going to be buried inside the town.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot of history there and a lot of bloodshed.
Yeah, lots.
And there's so many haunted places there. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's like a mecca of just haunted locations. Has there been any places in St. Augustine that you haven't visited that's like you want to get to? Because there's so many, you can't see them all. Like even if you know what I mean?
No, you can't
Like
spend
so
one day there or one night.
no, exactly. So is there something that sticks out that you're like next time I go, like I gotta get there?
Man, I mean, so Franny and I went during the day, went to the Castillo de San Marcos. It's a big Spanish fort built in the late 1500s. It's built out of coquina, which is crushed shells that they use to build like these cement blocks. And the thing is with the coquina, that helped protect the fort because whenever the ships fired cannonballs into coquina, instead of destroying the wall, it would absorb it like a sponge, so it wouldn't do anything. So once a cannonball hits the wall, they just cover up with more coquina. So it was a pretty amazing fort. So when Franny and I went in there, they were doing a demonstration of the cannons up top, and everybody was going up there to watch. And I'm like telling Franny, this is our moment to go into that dungeon because supposedly there were some French soldiers that were that were locked up there, sealed and never to be seen again. And there's a famous story about a Spanish, I believe it was a captain that was having an affair with the general's daughter,
Correct.
and they were locked up in shackle and left there to die.
Yeah, they
It
actually put them in like in this small chamber and then put concrete over it so it was
Yep,
hidden. They didn't even know it was there.
not till like recently. And
Yeah.
so I was telling Franny, we need to rush in there because no one's in there. It's going to be quiet. We can do an EVP session. And the most amazing EVP I got is I was talking in Spanish and I was asking, do you speak Espanol or Frances? And I played it back the recorder and clear as day, I got Frances, French.
Oh wow.
So that was pretty
Crazy.
wild. Yep. So we were getting some pretty cool EVPs, but I mean, this was a span of 30 minutes and then people started coming back. But my ultimate dream, and it's very hard to get in there, is to have, and I know it's your dream too, is to have that whole fort to yourself,
Oh yeah.
ourselves for the night to investigate.
That place is amazing.
That's my bucket list.
Yeah, for sure. And you told me about that. I didn't know that the executioner wall was there and when I was there and I called you and was like, "Hey, where can I, where's some good spots?" And yeah, getting over to that executioner wall on the side of the building, I captured some pretty amazing stuff there too. And you guys did as well, right?
Well, I was there a different time, and the craziest thing is I had my EDI, my data logger, which senses, all types of changes in the atmosphere, EMF, temperature, and vibration. And this is like at 1 a.m. And I put the EDI in one of the cannonball holes on the executioner's wall, and it was sensing vibration. How wild is that? And then on top of that, I'm getting EVPs um, pertaining to the execution. So that was crazy.
Yeah, and you're not going to pick up vibration. I mean, this, you know what I mean, like
So,
that from anything else, like anything
and
that
just
we
like
could
I said,
explain.
the coquina is like a sponge. I mean, it's going to absorb vibration.
Exactly. Yeah, and I know what they also did is they had paint like mop on really long sticks, and when a cannonball was shot at the structure, they would take dip paint and paint over the hole or like the indention real
Uh huh.
quick. And so when they looked at it, they didn't look like they were doing any damage, and it was like
Right.
psychological warfare too, that they were doing. Very a
It's a
lot of
ghost sport.
yeah, exactly. A lot of like really cool history in that area. From a scale from 1 to 10, what would you rate like the three locations that you visited when you were with Franny there, as far as paranormal activity?
Well, I can't really like include the other places just because we really didn't do a full out investigation, but I can do the St. Augustine Lighthouse, and I'm going to give that a 10. That place has never done me wrong.
I've been to St. Augustine a number of times. I've never been to the lighthouse. I never made it.
We going?
Yeah, we got to, man, that for sure. Um, and then, you know, just anything else that you want to. Well, here's one more question that I have here from Franny, and it's kind of a pretty deep question. But what are your thoughts on the afterlife?
Well, I'm a Christian, so I've always believed that, there's a heaven. Once I got into the paranormal, I still believe that. I still believe in the afterlife, but I never thought that the afterlife can communicate with us and that they still exist here. I thought maybe that was a possibility, but didn't know for sure. I was very skeptical. The more I got into the paranormal and all my years of investigating, I know for sure there's an afterlife. Um, so I guess that's how I could explain that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's hard to deny when you've seen some of the stuff that you and I have, right?
Right.
It's
And we've
hard
seen
to,
some crazy stuff.
yeah,
Full
unbelievable
body
stuff.
apparitions, getting touched, getting our names called out. Like, I don't know. Like, how can you not believe in the afterlife after going through that?
Right. And I was kind of like you, very, very skeptical. And you know, I still say you got to look at things with an open mind, but you don't want to have your mind so open that your brains fall out. So
Exactly.
you still want to look at everything with a skeptical kind of point of view. You know, not everything's paranormal, but yeah, when you capture some EVPs and different things like that, so it's really, really hard to deny. Or some of these experiences that you experienced
Yeah.
with Franny, where you know you're having multiple devices go off while you're hearing and experiencing things. It's
Yep.
just wild.
And when it comes to
Um,
investigating, I'm the most skeptical person you'll meet. I'll try to debunk your shit.
right,
I'll try to
right,
find an answer. Even if I see stuff, like I don't believe it. Like, did that really happen? You know, it won't hit me till the next day.
exactly. Awesome, man. So no, definitely, you guys must. It sounded like you guys had a great time. You got to experience some crazy activity in this very historical area and beautiful city.
Mhm.
And you know, is there anything else that you want to kind of add about the trip?
Well, I know that that's like, if you're from Florida, that's like, and you like the paranormal, that's probably going to be one of your go-to places. I don't know, just St. Augustine. It's just so rich in history, and I mean, there's so many spirits there, like walking around, like what I was saying when COVID hit, like you're never going to experience that, and you can hear a pin drop, and like, I mean, even if there's people around, you're walking through the city, like you feel those vibes all throughout the city. They have the cobblestone roads from back then. They have the city gates from up front. They have these old cemeteries. I mean, the cool thing about that I like about it is United States of America is fairly new compared to other countries.
Correct. Yeah.
And like when you're talking about something 1500s, 1600s, I mean, you can put that right up against anything in the world. So
Oh yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
like about it.
Yeah. It's neat. There is really no place like it, is there? You know, I've been to, you know, a couple other places like I mentioned earlier, like Savannah and Gettysburg, and these places all have their own vibe, but there's something just different about St. Augustine. There's just it really, you could
It's my
feel it.
Disney World of the ghost hunting.
So awesome. Good talking with you, Eric. We're going to wrap up the show here.
Sweet.
And you know, just tell us where people can find you and some of the stuff that relates to you and where people could find that kind of thing on social media and follow and
Sure.
catch more about you.
Are you ready? Because I got a lot.
Let's go.
All right. So you can find me at Ghost Hunter of South Florida. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Also, follow our team, War Party Paranormal. We have a website, warpartyparanormal.com. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, and Mike and I have we host a live show every Monday night on the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. You can listen there, or you can watch on our YouTube or Facebook, and we go live every Monday night at 9 p.m. And also, the Haunted Files. Yeah, Mike, did you know we're the #1 rated show on Paraflix?
I just found that out and I was super humbled about it, man. It was awesome. Very, very
So,
cool stuff.
so as if people didn't know, Mike and I, we're the brains behind the Paraflix, and check them out. We have a new episode dropping out next week, Friday the 21st, and it's going to be the Tipton Library. We were with James Cummings from Cross the Line Paranormal. So, and that was an amazing investigation. So
Yeah,
check that out.
it's actually gonna have all three of us in it. So Franny,
Exactly.
Eric, and myself. And yeah, get to check us out investigating the haunted Tifton Public Library. And guys, about if you want to follow any of my social media, the easiest way is to go to my website, FLA paranormalresearcher.com, and it links out to everything else. And if you want to find out more about the haunted files, you can check out thehauntedfiles.com, and it has links out to where you can watch it and different things of that nature. So awesome. Definitely appreciate you coming on, Eric, and talking about this investigation. And I hope you guys will join us next time, and maybe we'll see you at on our show, the War Party Paranormal Radio Show on Monday nights. So, all right,
And
guys.
thanks for coming back as the interviewer. You were out for a while, so welcome
Yeah, I
back.
just had some personal stuff that I had to take care of. But yeah, no, I'm back and happy to do it.
All right.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.